Heavy lies the crown.
So this is a long time coming, man.
Yes, it is. It is.
We're like, 10 months in to when I rolled out the first episode, but I think the time is fitting. I think it's the right time right now. Just because there's a whole different climate that we were talking before this. There's a whole different climate that we're kind of living in right now, especially for youth.
Yes.
And the world is in a weird place. So I guess, the timing is right. We're not forcing anything. It just happened to be today. We got the families hanging out, and it's just me and you in my home, dude.
Yes. And then we're going to do this organically.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to welcome my, honestly, the way I would describe you is the uncle I never had. Mm-hmm. I wish I had other relationships with my uncles. It didn't happen that way. It wasn't in the plan, but you became the uncle that I basically spend the most time with, hit the golf course together more than anybody else I golf with.
Yes, true.
And I think we have so many good talks on the golf course about life experience, about what you do and how you serve the people now. I wanted you on this podcast because your take on service to others, I believe, is super powerful, and it's rare nowadays. Mm-hmm. So
thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Uncle Tom.
No, thank you for letting me be part of your podcast and just having this opportunity to finally just talk and let's and be real about what's going on.
Yeah. If there's anything that this podcast is that it's authentic, genuine conversation about life. And I know it's very scary. It's very frustrating. A lot of things that I bring up on this podcast, it's kind of sensitive. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what the world is craving nowadays, because there's so much, I don't want to say like fake, but I want to say there's a lot of flexing and facade being put out there. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't help anybody. And I feel like it's making everything worse.
Yes.
Right. So I want to start off with your upbringing, if anything. I know you came here to the United States from the Philippines at a young age. Mm-hmm. Your childhood was pretty rough. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, your generation coming into America at the time that you did, there was a lot of gang affiliation. There was a lot of violence. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see the world how it is now versus how you were when you were a youth. There's a lot of differences. I would say I would start with, like, how old were you when you first got here from the Philippines?
Yeah, I was 8 years old when I came from the Philippines, and it was a different life. I still can remember, everything that growing up in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
Just under, like, dude, we had it all, right? I mean, like, here, understand, like, how people have money and all that stuff. People might have, like, oh, we have our vacation home, growing up. Well, I lived in Chicago for 20 years when I got married, and, just listening to the kids were like, oh, we have a lake house. Well, in the Philippines, we had, like, we owned like 800 or, you guys
were well off in the Philippines, dude.
We were well
off. The Doromal
off.
family was well off.
We were well off. We had people driving us all over the place, people cooking for us, doing our laundry, everything. And then, the humbling experiences when we immigrated here to America, right? And I think, like, I speak maybe not just for all Filipinos, but for everyone from wherever country they came from, right? When we talk about, like, California, we talk about, like, all these different families coming from, especially, like, South America, right? And then nowadays, coming from, East Asia, right? For me, we struggled, right, as a family coming here. We had nothing. I remember going back to school, our, when we went and shop was me and my mom, her taking me to Goodwill. And I didn't know that Goodwill was a secondhand store.
Yeah.
Like no one tells you that, right? Mm-hmm. And then, that was my childhood. Like I remember 4th grade, we went there, 5th grade, 6th grade,
That was normal to you guys.
That was normal, but I didn't know, and then just, like my mom always said like, hey, I only have this much, well, what can we get? And she taught me like what it means, like to really understand, what money is. Right. So I remember going to Goodwill and like, I got to look at like the quarters or the 50-cent ones because I knew this is how much I had left, or this is how much she had. And then that was it. Right. And I didn't know. Yeah. I still remember, nowadays, especially with me, like as a father, right. Like I want what's best for my kids. And, like I remember, shoes, let's talk about shoes, right? Especially for little kids and for guys or for male. Let's talk about, dude, we want the Jordans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, back then Jordan was still playing.
That's right.
So he didn't make the Jordans yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if like anyone else, understood like what Payless shoe store was, yeah. Right? So I remember that was my shoe that I bought, and I didn't know, like, it was either that or we went to JCPenney's.
Yeah.
And then there was later on when, my sister and my older brother, at least they were working and, just trying to help and at least help me out, right?
Because you're the youngest of 4 siblings.
Yes, I was the youngest of 4 siblings, and like my 2 older siblings were, when they got here, like, man, our generation was different because, and just think about it, right? Like, let's talk about everything, like how economics plays a big role in especially our generation now, mm-hmm. Who succeeds and who doesn't, mm-hmm. Right? And honestly, like for me and for my siblings, what is success, right? Like, is it like, oh yeah, you're a millionaire, or is it like, dude, like we have clothes, we have something to eat, right? But then now, in our society, that's not success. The success is when I remember being in the Philippines where you have multiple homes. Hey, it's summertime, let's go here. Or
a vacation home.
Yeah, vacation home. Wow. And then, but you know what? Honestly, it's a good experience understanding what we had and what I have now, right? And then especially when we immigrated here, and then going through, like, man, what is immigration? And then understanding our fellow brothers and sisters, like that come from all the different countries, mm-hmm. Right? Let's say even like we talk now about like, let's say Afghanistan, mm-hmm. Like all these immigrants coming in, or the Haitians people, mm-hmm. Right? And especially like our Mexican brothers and sisters that are crossing the border.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, they just want that life. It doesn't matter. I understand growing up in the Philippines, yeah, we had everything, but I did see like what it means to be poor.
Yeah.
Now you do get to see what it means to be poor, right? Like we see, like we go downtown LA, we see all these homeless encampments. That was the norm growing up in the Philippines. Yeah. It wasn't the norm when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, but then now it's starting to be the norm. And I think like this is where our young generation they have everything. They have everything in the power of one device. They can ask Siri anything, or Katana, whatever, yeah. Google, whatever, right? Where back then with us, we were lucky to have a TV. And, we made sure like we put, like all you people that grew up in the 80s and 90s, you guys know what I'm talking about, where we put foil in our antennas so that we can get better reception.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it, right? Think about when we're growing up and in school. Yeah, dude, I got, now you call it bullying when people like make fun of you. Mm-hmm. But then honestly, back then, like, all right, they made fun of you. You had to learn how to funnel that and then bring it back to them. Flip it.
Yeah.
Learn how to flip it. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe, hey, all you listeners out there, talking about like when we bagged on each other, right?
Yeah.
And then that was it, right? We knew like how to learn to create that thick skin.
Thick skin, yeah.
And then what
are you seeing now? So like you see the generation now, and would you say that the generation now has thin skin then?
Thin skin, and a lot of kids are confused.
Yeah.
Super confused. And then let's talk about like, like for me as an educator, no matter what race you are, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, no matter, right? It begins at home. Yeah. Are there two parents? Not even if there are two parents, but then if there is one parent. And if it's not that one parent, are there two parent households that are really giving their time, right? That quality time with their kid. And then now, we see in this generation where we have a lot of kids that are confused, right? For instance, let's just talk about, one of the kids that I'm, like I get to teach, right? Let's just say, he is confused, right? He is an 8th grader, but then he has learned how to manipulate, the parent. So for instance, first period, right? Like it's like it's at like 8:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're at school.
Uh-huh.
This student texts the mom, like, hey, I want to go home. I don't want to be in school. Then what does the mom do?
Picks him up.
Literally, like school just started. You're in school for 30 minutes. And then the mom picks up this student. And I'm like,
did she even ask him why?
Nothing. All right, I'll be there.
What?
And then that's where we look at like, like as being like as fathers, like as myself, like, is it hard sometimes, like, growing up and being a father? Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. But then when you have the first time that you created a child and being part of this, being part of the world, mm-hmm. I think like for me, I understood, growing up, being in the Philippines, coming here, being an immigrant and understanding everything. Yeah, did I go through a lot? Yes, I did. But then once my son was born, man, everything changed, right? And I know my wife always talks about like, oh, you're about to, faint and all that stuff. And I think like all you fathers, you know what I mean, right? When your child was your first child being born, man, like all that emotion going into your heart, seeing that, their beautiful face. And then like, man, there is a life that now I need to make sure that, man, I need to be that person for this life. Right? Yeah. And honestly, I got married early. I was 24 years old and I was a dad at 25,
Which is rare nowadays.
Yes.
I feel like people aren't getting married until they're older, much older.
Yes. Well, because like, I think like we're nowadays, like everyone's just thinking like about themselves because of their career.
Yeah. Well, and I can speak for that generation, and it's almost like that was preached to us. Mm-hmm. to accomplish your goals before you start a family and stuff like that. And I think back and I look at, your generation and even my parents' generation, they were way younger starting families. And I think of 21-year-olds, 20 to 25-year-olds. You guys were that age starting a family. And I know that was preached to us for a reason, right? I think there was a big push for, those that had kids already. They're like, oh, I wish I accomplished this. But I feel like it's too far of a swing where nowadays people are trying to accomplish their goals and their dreams, and a family's not even a thought.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing for me, is that there's people my age that aren't even considering that. Not to say that that's wrong, but to take on the role of a father, like you just mentioned, when you see your first child, there's so much more that lights me up now to accomplish everything that God plans for me in this world because of that additional life that I'm responsible for.
Yes.
But so you got married at, like you said, 25?
Yeah, I was 24.
24.
Yep, and I had my
your
first child at 25.
Yeah. And he's probably listening to this. He's a college boy now.
Yes.
He's out in Iowa.
Yep. Very proud of him, yeah.
Yeah. And if he's listening to this, a very stand-up guy.
Yeah.
A guy with a good head on his shoulders, and I credit his parents for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It shows. It shows the parenting, right? That's a whole different story of how you feel about him going off to college in a different state. But like you said, starting a family at that age, it shifts your whole life.
Yes.
And the worry, the responsibility, right?
Yep. And then honestly, like, all right, so at age 25, when I had, that was 2000, got married in 1999, right? In December. Yeah. And then he was born December. Okay. And then honestly, like, that shifted everything, right? Like,
what was it? What was the shift?
So, like, you had that as a father, like, man, you had to change everything. Like, you knew, all right, now I have a priority. Yeah. My priorities have changed, right?
Yeah.
Just like my siblings and, like, we just wanted to help my parents. But then I think, like, since being the youngest and kind of growing up here, in America, being here as a third grader, right? I started school here in third grade. And then, being in the educational system for the past year or the next 9 years. Was college ever part of it? No, right? Because of course, talk about being documented and undocumented. You know what I mean? And I know that's a different talk.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, we I didn't have any papers or anything. So my main thing was like, dude, I gotta go and work. Yeah. And I know, like, maybe a lot of, kids that I teach who are Hispanic, and they tell me, like, hey, Mr. D, like, my parents are, and I told them, dude, I get it, because I was just like you. But you know what? Don't let that stop you from your dreams. Finish high school and then go to college. Thank goodness. Well, hopefully, right? It continues. There's DACA. But anyways, like, but for me, I was a psychiatric technician, so I was in the nursing field, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I got married and moved to Chicago, I was like thinking, like, all right, maybe I'll just, like, keep continuing. But then, like, they're like, well, you need to go back to school. So I was like, all right, I'll go back to school, right? And then finally, like, all right, I'm gonna go to college. Like, this is it, right? Yeah. Like, oh man.
How old were you then?
I was 24, right? Well, I was.
So Drew was newborn then.
Yeah, he was newborn, okay. Right? Well, 25.
Okay.
So when he was born, then during that year in 2000, that's when I finally, went back to school. So like that January, so I went to a junior college. And then, and I started my educational experience, right? Going to college and everything. So, knowing like, hey, you're going to go to a junior college, it's cheaper, right? Well, back then, it was,
yeah.
$35 per credit hour. You know, I know now it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, and then maybe that can be another podcast. But you know, just starting out there, right? And then getting my AA degree. And then I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I'll go back into nursing and get my RN degree. And then I think now I was like, oh man, I should have. But it's okay, right?
Yeah.
I think like, you know, whatever you believe in, I think, you know, I believe in God, and I think God put me in this place, in this spot, because you know what? You've gone through all these things, and then maybe you can make a difference to these kids, right? And then I'm trying my best. But anyways, you know, of course everything changes, and then like, first, you know, like I wanted to be a elementary teacher, right? I was like, oh man, I want to be like, I want to teach like 5th grade, you know? And then I remember talking to my counselor, and then she was saying like, well, it's going to take you like 3 years. You know, like now being a dad, like, oh man, 3 years, that's too
long time. Yeah.
And then maybe this is where like I see my parents, you know, instilling that hard work, right? Dude, you gotta work hard. And I was like, no, you know what? That's too long. I want to find something where I want to be done in 2 years. And then, you know, my counselor steered me like, all right, well, this is it right here. So, you know, I went and started teaching physical education because I love sports and everything. And as you know, right? And then, well, perfect way, right? And then I remember me growing up, being in high school, being troubled. Honestly, sports was the only thing that really helped me, right? If it wasn't for sports, honestly, I probably wouldn't be here or probably be in jail.
You're talking about life lessons from sports.
Yes, life lessons and having that outlet, right? And I think like this is where like a lot of kids don't understand that. Like, and I want to talk to you about it where, you know, as educators, right, we have like what we call professional development. Yeah. And just yesterday on Friday, we had our professional development, right? Where you know, kids are off and all the teachers going to school, like go to work, but then, you know, we kind of go through like, all right, what we're going to do as educators, you know, like what are the things that we need to learn. And one of the assistant principals, right, had like made us reflect. There was a student, troubled kid, right? You know, like mom and dad are divorced. Mom and dad are young. I guess they were young when they had him. You know, dad moved on. Mom became a drug addict. Just think about it, right? 2nd grade, 3rd grade. What are you going through? What's going through that mind of this young kid? Anyways, then this kid comes to school. He's in my caseload because I teach special ed, and he's in my caseload, right? And you know, just trying to help him out and whatever, trying to be there and be that person that's gonna help him, right? Yeah. Just like how my coaches or whatever have helped me really understand what life is all about, right? But anyways, this kid gets in trouble, goes, you know, spends in what we call an in-school suspension rather than being suspended, staying home, right? What a lot of kids want to do, because if you're home, parents are at work, you're going to play video games, whatever, right?
Is that really a punishment?
Yes, it's not. Because honestly, a lot of kids just, I'd rather just stay home.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
But anyways, he drew, so the assistant principal asked him to draw. Who are you? Like, who am I?
That was like the simple prompt.
That was it. Just who am I, right? Oh, wow. Who am I? So these are the kids that maybe in that small pocket of where I am teaching at, but just think about like our whole country, not just our country, but let's talk about the whole world,
Yeah.
right? But this kid draws three people, and says, "Who am I?" Says the person, "I want you to draw who am I?" Right? Who am I? Draws three characters, and two of them, the middle and then the right, had faces. The character to the far right had a smiley face and had like a little caption. "This is who I am. I'm a happy kid, whatever. I love whatever, Fortnite, all these kids at their age, right? 13, 12, 13-year-old kids, 14. And in the middle, there was a frowny, there was just a face with a frown. And with a big question mark as a caption on top. And then the far left one was a person, just a big question mark in their face. So just think about this kid, right?
Yeah.
Think about this kid. Went through a lot, right? And is trying to figure out who they are. Mm-hmm. And then just like the other kid that I was trying, I was explaining earlier, where texts the mom and, "All right, pick me up," and mom picks him up.
Like, I just want to go home.
Yeah, I just want to go home. And I'm like thinking, like, just standing there like, oh my gosh, what is going on? That's why these kids are lost. They don't know.
Yeah.
And then honestly, and let's talk about being a father.
Yeah.
What's the missing piece with these two kids? They're missing a father.
They don't have a father. Wow.
There's no father figure within that household that tells them, "Here it is." There's another student, and that one kid that texted the mom, same, right? Divorced parents and everything. Dad just lost communication with her, and she's angry. Just angry all the time.
Lost communication? What? Like he just abandoned her, or
yeah? Like I don't know. Like the good thing, like for me as a special ed teacher, right? Like, because I get to go in and push into different classrooms, and help not just my kids who are in special ed, but the kids who are in that classroom. Mm-hmm. And I think like this is where, for all you educators out there, it is not about like teaching them this, but it's building that rapport with the kids.
Rapport.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
wow.
Honestly, if you build that rapport, what more that those kids are going to do whatever it takes, whatever you're going to give them, that they're going to continue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyways, and I understand all those educators out there, like, well, I got 30 kids and I get it. And you're by yourself. I get it. And, but anyways, and, just think about like that being that father figure. And not just this kid, but I talk to a lot of kids. And that's what's missing. There's no father figures at home. And then me and another teacher, we have what we call our intervention class, right? It's a beginning of the day as our first period. We call it our intervention class. And it's just a mix of kids that have a lot of what we call, quote unquote baggage, right? Mm-hmm. We got females, males in there. We go through like a series of like, not just like icebreakers, but it's like lessons where we build them up. We learn, like building that rapport with kids, like honestly with everyone, right? Even with adults.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to be heard. Yeah. You just want that attention.
Yeah.
And then
that's what people need.
Yes. And especially now, right? Coming out from COVID, like the pandemic and all that stuff for the year or a year and a half, right? And I think like that's what, not just kids, but everyone, right? Everyone needs that attention. Yeah. Everyone that needs that, like, hey man, I just don't need someone to listen to me, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, like you hear like all these stories from all these kids, you know, and honestly, like the common denominator for all these kids, it's either they live with a single parent, right? Or they live with uncles, grandparents, because the parents had them young. The parents had them young.
They weren't ready.
They weren't ready. And, you know, and then drugs played a part,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just sad. And then, okay, let's say like we talk about like our single parents, right? Let's say if we talk about our single moms, you know, I've met single moms that are, man, I'm going to be the dad and the mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give them the love of a mom, and I'm gonna give them that real love of a dad, right? That pure love. Like, yeah, I'm going to discipline you, but guess what? It's out of love.
Yeah.
Right. And I think like that's where like a lot of kids were now as a parent, you kind of scold them or discipline them.
Discipline them, yeah.
But then they don't understand that, dude, it's coming out of love, you know? But anyways, you know, and that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge for not just for our young ones, but for everyone, that if you are going to start a family and then be part of this world, and I know how easy it is that this world can just take you.
Yeah.
Right? Can just take you. And, you know, as a man, right? I mean, you know, lust is a big thing. Not just for a man, but for a woman also.
Yeah.
Right? And then like just think about like how our society is now, where, you know, everything's all about me. Oh, I gotta look like this thing.
Yeah.
I gotta look, you know, I have to be this. And then just look about that kid. He doesn't know there's 3 figures in his drawing, and he doesn't know where he fits in.
Yeah.
He wants to be this kid, and that was the first person he drew smiling. And then the middle person frowning. And then the third person blank. A question mark.
Question mark on his face.
Right?
Wow.
And then honestly, that's what we need to ask ourselves as a human being, maybe as a man, or even as a woman,
Yeah.
right? And honestly, like I give props to, you know, all those single moms out there that, man, they're trying.
Yeah.
And I get it.
And there are so many that have done it.
Yes, and they are. And then I think like this is where like, and I understand the kids, you know, the kids have gone through things, but there has to be that, I need to show them some tough love. Because if I'm going to continue this, then guess what? When that kid grows up, then they won't understand what it means if they're going to work and be part of our community, be part of society, and then work, and then they'll have an authoritative figure and say like, nope, you can't do that. And what are they going to do? Are they going to pout?
Yeah.
And then,
or like I want to go home.
Yeah, I want to go home. No, dude. You know what? You got to roll up your sleeves no matter who you are. If you are, you know, a woman, a man, or you are, you know, like you're in between.
Work is work. Dude.
Yeah, it is. And then that's why it's called hard work.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, you know, like nowadays where technology has given all of us, right? All of us that opportunity to make things easier. Mm-hmm. But then you know what? That easiness still goes back to, if you want to do this, it goes back to that hard work.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm fortunate enough to see my parents, right? Just think about it. My dad, a multimillionaire, you know, even my mom not working, but helping the people, right? Mm-hmm. Living a lavish lifestyle. I mean, a lavish lifestyle. And then coming here and being humbled.
Yeah.
Right? My dad having an American education, right?
Yeah.
He graduated from USC with an engineering degree.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that, like, for every people that live in, in different countries, right? Because that being educated in America was prestigious. It's either here or you get, your education in England, right?
Yeah.
Those are like the two like known world powers of democracy.
Yeah.
And only the elite of everywhere, every country in the world, that's where they send their kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And let me just help paint this
yeah.
picture for people, because I had that awesome talk with Grandpa Jack about the Doromal estate,
Yes.
right? In the Philippines, you guys were well off because he went to America for education. He went back to the Philippines and they had businesses.
Yes,
Not
business.
just one.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't just one farm. It wasn't just a ranch. There was so many agricultural products that the Doromals had in the
Yes.
Philippines. And like you're pointing out, to have all that, the high education of business and agriculture, he left it all and came to America. And you guys literally started for where a lot of immigrants start.
Yes.
From the bottom. With nothing.
Yes.
With nothing.
With nothing. Honestly.
I don't know if people can even understand that now. Like my generation, my age, or even younger than me, that like we have the opportunities. We have the phone. We have everything,
Everything.
right? And what you guys were taught, especially from your parents, was hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And with the hard work was thick skin. Thick freaking skin. If someone gave you tough love, you don't pout, you don't cower away. You actually work harder.
Yes. It was like our piece of motivation of like, all right, you know what? Yeah, of course, like if my parents, did I get hurt? Yeah. But then you know what? I just needed that time to reflect, right? And I think that's where a lot of people, like everyone, including myself, that we need to learn how to reflect and just take that time before we react.
Yeah.
Because we're so quick to judge.
Yeah.
And it's just like, boom. Like, if you say something bad to me, like, oh, hell, like I'm ready to defend myself.
Yeah.
Right? And then I've learned this, through coaching, right? Being a coach, we call it BCD, right? No blaming, no complaining, no defending. BCD. Blaming, complaining, defending. Yeah. So if I'm coaching, I'm telling you, hey, Jordan, you know what? You didn't block him right. What's the first thing you're going to do? Oh, well, it wasn't my fault. That was the other guy's fault.
Dude didn't block either.
Yeah, so you're blaming someone and then you're complaining. And then you're defending yourself. Rather than, all right, cool, coach, you know what? I'm going to take it and then learn from it. Or, hey, coach, or teach me. Like, okay, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I think like that's where that self-confidence comes in. And this is where, and I think, and it is just my own opinion, right? My own opinion, being an educator for the past 18 years, I've seen, right? And then we can talk about, was it Maslow's hierarchy, right? Mm-hmm. Where the bottom part, what's the bottom part of that triangle?
Physiological.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the love, the trust, everything's there.
Yeah.
Food, eat, right? Everything's there at that bottom of that pyramid before then that top pyramid's the independence of like, all right, man, I'm
actualized.
Yeah. Everything's just all like, I can do things all by myself.
Yeah.
If we don't get that base of anything, nothing's gonna come back to that second level of that pyramid, right?
You can't level up, yeah.
So now just let's talk about like all of our kids, or even all of our, young families that are starting, and then that maybe, might think like, oh man, like when we talk about like that lustfulness, like, oh man, this girl's hot, or this guy is hot, whatever. But is it worth it? Where you know what? You are going to destroy, honestly, you are going to destroy your child because of lustfulness. or because of being selfish.
Selfishness, yeah.
And honestly, and I'll be honest, and one of my good friends has done that. Too selfish. But then, let's go back to that person's childhood. Yeah, he got his tough love or whatever, but he always came back. And the parents never taught him about that tough love. They gave him that tough love, but then they always bend. So that's why I'm afraid of that one student where texted the mom and then mom picks him up.
Yeah.
Because later in life, dude, what's going to happen? When your mom is not there.
You're at work and you can't call your mom
Yeah.
to pick you up.
And then I think that's where it is. And everyone's entitled to things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be entitled. Work hard for it.
Yeah.
Because then you know what? If I worked hard for something, then it's something that where I can, as a person, I can justify. No, I worked hard for this.
Yeah.
Not just because, I graduated from Yale or whatever, from UCLA. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Dude, earn it.
Yeah. It's not the credential, it's the growth of the character that you are now.
Earn it first. Work hard.
100%.
Do different things.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's where part of our society has evolved. And I get it. Yeah, all right. Just think about I want to be real, right? Mm-hmm. And think about all those TikTok stars or whatever, the Instagram influencers or whatever. A lot of those people come from wealth, at least, maybe, right? Let's just look at it.
Let's say a big majority of them.
Yeah, a majority of them, right?
Yeah.
And so it's easy for them. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they have the looks and everything. But then what about this type of person or this type of person? That's why, as an educator and as a dad and as a parent, and that's what I've been harping, not just on my own kids, but the kids that I teach. Because I always tell them, hey, you know what? Because I'm with you here at my work, I treat you like my kids.
Yeah. You become their father.
Yeah.
A father figure at least.
And then I want them to do the best.
Yeah.
Right? But you gotta work hard for it.
You gotta work hard for it. Yeah.
Don't shortcut things. No, let's because that's how you build your character as a man, as a father. If you're,
Yeah.
it is, and for me, I was blessed, really, really blessed to have people in my life, not just my parents, but others that really gave that time, to acknowledge who I was and really knew what I was going through.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's your, your dad, if your dad's listening, and it is, right? He gave a lot of us an opportunity to change our lives, right? And of course, is there a divine intervention? Yes, there is, right? There was. I'm gonna tell you that, right? There was. And then what are we gonna do with it? And then how are we gonna repay it back?
Yeah.
As an educator, yeah, man, I do have my ups and downs every day. By Friday, I tell you, man, I go home and I'm beat emotionally, not physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
Because every single day I deal with other families, students, and I give them 100% of me.
Yeah.
100%. And hopefully they can, give that back to me, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes, are they kids that will make a mistake and then hurt you? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And then honestly, it was a good thing where we had our professional development yesterday. It made me reflect. It made me realize, especially looking at that picture, right? Where there was 3 images.
That's rough, dude.
And the kids, that student didn't know who they were. And I've been just instilling them it doesn't matter who you are. People will like you for who you are. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. Just be you.
Yeah.
You know, and then I think like that's where like, you know, just think about it. Like, all right, I get it. People will post things. All right, TikTok. All right, boom, whatever. But what's going to happen to all of them within the next 5 years? Honestly.
You go viral for one month.
Yeah.
And then now, I mean, honestly, yeah, people that go viral, it goes away. And then all of a sudden, to be relevant again, you got to do something crazier or stupider or funnier.
Yeah.
And then they lose themselves even more further down the line because they're trying so hard to be someone that they believe people want to be.
Yeah. Just think about like, dude, all right, I know you love boxing.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this. Dude, just talk about the Paul, right?
Oh, the Paul brothers.
Yeah, the Paul brothers, right?
Yeah.
Dude, they're smart.
Yeah,
Because honestly,
they're smart.
Yeah, now, all right, they're getting of age. Maybe they saw a dwindle of followers. But then, all right, how are we going to reinvent ourselves so that we can make money? Okay, but after this, all these boxing stuff that they're doing, what's going to happen to them next?
True.
Honestly, let's talk about what is going to happen to them next.
Because it's interesting right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting right now. They're challenging MMA fighters, but they're also challenging Mayweather, who is about money. I mean, at that point, you're right though. It's gonna run out at some point. Yeah. Maybe they're gonna make enough wealth that it's gonna last them for their whole life and their families, whatever.
Yeah. And it's generations.
But it's all about that though. It's all about riding the wave, the cloud of attention until people lose attention and it's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are just paying to see them get knocked the F out, dude. Like, that's the truth.
No, it is.
And that's what they know.
Shoot, honestly,
they know.
That's why, like, if I'm gonna pay, like, yeah, I want to see.
I want to see him get knocked the F out.
Honestly, like, I want to see him, like, one of them.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, like, hey, fight Mike Tyson. Yeah. He's 60 years old. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
At least fight him.
Yeah.
And then let's see if you guys can go toe to toe with a 60-year-old guy.
It's true.
Rather than like some wash-up MMA guys.
Yeah.
Or Mayweather, and then you're like 6'5" and he's 5'5".
Yeah, you weigh 190 and then this guy weighs 150.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
If go pound for pound, all right, you know what?
Fight someone 190.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Let's go.
Cruiserweight.
Yeah.
No, but you're right though. I think that's the problem nowadays is that everything is easily accessed for one, but also you look at people that have made millions just by becoming viral. They're known as that stupid person that made the TikTok video 5 years ago, and then they'll always be that guy.
Yeah.
And they're making millions off of it.
Yep.
So you get a kid who's, what grade do you teach?
Junior high right now.
Junior high. So is it 7 and 8?
Yep, 7 and 8.
So in California, that's 7 and 8th grade. They see someone like that. So rather than, like you pointed out, have thick skin, work freaking hard to become somebody that's worth value that you want, that someone else would want on their team, they look at this viral person that just made it easy and they see that picture as, oh, that's the goal then.
Yeah.
Like, do something stupid online and then you'll become viral. You'll make millions there.
Yep.
But then the problem is someone that made it that easy
then
doesn't understand how to make it up that hill.
Yeah.
They're literally dropped at the top of the hill. They don't know how to climb. Guess what's going to freaking happen?
Yep.
They're just going to freaking roll down the hill.
Yeah.
And I think that's what society's built off of right now.
Yep.
I think you pointed out multiple times that there's a pattern of a missing figure in their life, a missing person who gives them that tough love. And me looking at my life now and how I want to raise Amela and everything. I mean, I look at people like who we talked about, whatever, Jake Paul, TikTok, and all this stuff. What's your strategy then to protect your kids? Because you have a son in college. How old is Tally?
She's 14.
14, and then
Garen's 9.
Garen's 9.
Yeah.
They're in this society, this community that's growing up with this as the example of success or whatever, right? On paper, money and whatever, fame. Then what is your strategy?
Well, that's a good question, right? I think that's the $1 million question for everyone. Yeah. But I think like it all depends, right? Of course, as a father, right, as a parent, and I you know, I tell not just my 3 kids, but all the kids that I teach, that you got to be better than me. You got to be better than me. You got to. You know, like I know, like sometimes, like, you know, for Andrew, because I know he's smart, right? And Natalie is smart as well, and Garen is smart. They're all right, and I think even Mela, and all the kids that are out there, right? Everyone, all of us, right? Every human being has their superpower somewhat, right? And this is yours. You know, this is yours. You know, I'm still trying to figure out mine. I'm thinking like about sports, but you know, just think about it.
Yeah.
Others are musicians, artists, painters, everything, right? That is their gift.
Their calling in life.
Yeah, their calling in life. And then, you know, I don't know, like, I know our calling is somewhat different because our calling is world and God, right? What can I do to be that light, that beacon of light for everyone, right? Because I believe in God, and I'm trying my best every single day to be closer to Him. Every single day. Do I make mistakes? Heck yeah, because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
I can never say I'm holier than I'm holier because I have a lot of holes in my life. And the beauty thing about whatever you believe in, right? I know I believe in God, but whatever you believe in, whatever you're struggling, anytime, anywhere, just pause and then just close your eyes and call out whoever you believe in. You know, have I done that? Oh man, many times. Yeah. And then you can just feel that presence, you know. For me, like I feel like the chills goes through me, and then, all right, I knew it. Boom. All right, let's go. You know. Yeah. God renewed me. And I understand, like, you know, religion's a tough topic for our society nowadays. Yeah. Right. So for my kids, you know, at least whatever goals I have for them, one is always be better than me. Be better than your parents. Whatever your goals are, right? Whatever your goals are. Second, have that foundation of your spirituality, right? You know, being Filipino, and you know, you gotta be proud of who you are. And I think a lot of times, a lot of our fellow Filipinos, we lose that. We lose our culture. Not just us, but just think about our fellow brothers and sisters who are Hispanic, right? Think about our two cultures. We are intertwined. Yeah. Because guess what? You know, the Spaniards were the ones who kind of conquered our land.
They did, yeah.
And what was their main objective was to spread Christianity amongst our lands. Yeah. But now this is where even 2,000 years ago, and then now every single day we battle that. Mm-hmm. We battle ourselves with who I am. You know, who am I really proud of who I am? Am I proud of being a Christian? Or am I like, oh, let's not talk about God? And it's like, oh, okay, you know, let's not talk about it because it's, you know, and it's okay. Honestly, it's okay. And it's okay to doubt whatever because of what's going on, but you need to also look at the big picture, right? Look at the big picture of what's going on, right? Because if you say like, oh yeah, well, God's supposed to be a loving God, but then how come he makes all these things happen? And then for myself is, remember, us as parents, you, myself, and any dads that are out there, or even the single moms that are out there, right? Or single dads, right? You are the first teacher of your child.
Yeah.
You are the first teacher that they are going to emulate. You are the first person that they are going to love, that they are going to have, they're going to get disappointed because you yelled at them or whatever. Trust me, I've done it. And, and I'm very proud of Andrew. I'm very proud of Natalie. Very proud of Garen, for the kids who they are, right? And then, that's the beauty of innocence, because they bring you back to what it is. Mm-hmm. And I want to share something to you, right? Like about like one of my students, and I was talking to him on Thursday, and he's a very, very funny kid, man. Very funny kid. And, and he said like, hey man, Mr. D, what's up? What's wrong with you? He goes, lately, like you've just been so serious. And he was saying like, man, I miss like, like the first month we were like laughing in here, we're having fun. And, and then it was perfect, because he made me reflect on like, man, what happened? But then honestly, then life happened, right?
Yeah.
Not just me as an educator, but then like, remember, as I go home, I got to put a different hat. I'll become a dad.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. Then after that, wife comes home, I got to be a husband.
Yeah.
All these things. And then it just made me realize. And then we had a talk, and like we said, because we're, like we talk about like, being a father and stuff. And he was just saying like, Mr. D, like, like my dad abandoned me when I was 2 years old. He lives in Mexico. And his mom, remarried. He has a stepdad. And he was saying, like, like sometimes, Mr. D, like, I want to have this relationship with my stepdad, but then I feel like I'm betraying my real dad. Right, dude, that's deep.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's getting me emotional, but like, just listening to him. And, like, dude, like, and that's for any of us, listen, for any of us out there, because of the world, because of our society, it is okay to be, to be divorced or whatever, or let's get married because
it's normal.
Yeah, or let's get married because so that we can put in Instagram. Right? Dude, it is not. And then honestly, like, like being a husband, it is a work in progress every single day. That's why, like, I remember and I love, my wife for it. I remember when it was, living in Illinois, man, just think about it, right? I coach football. That's like 6 days a week. I coach. Then after that, we had like 2 weeks break. Like, we had a 2-week break. Then I coached girls basketball.
Yeah.
And then that took me all the way till like March or end of February. And then there was a couple seasons or a couple years where I coached softball.
Yeah.
Like, I was coaching, being with other people's kids 6 days a week. And I wasn't with mine. And I remember, and one time where, I'm very, like, I love it because I knew, like, I thought like it was my part of giving back, right? And I remember coming home, it was like, I had like long nights and all that stuff Wifey was late at work because she had to do, her job also. And I came home late. And then I still remember it to this day. Man, it breaks my heart. I come home. Natalie was probably like 4 or 5 years old. And she loved all the Disney princesses. I remember she was wearing her pink one. Come home, we lost from a team. It was girls' basketball season, right? And then we lost to a team where we shouldn't have lost. And then I come home, I'm like cranky, I'm tired, I'm hungry. And she comes up, Dad, and then she goes, can you buy me McDonald's? Because I forgot she didn't get to eat yet. And I snapped at her. And then, I see my older son, he was probably 9 or 10 years old at that time, comes up and tries to protect her and takes her away from me. I just stood there, holding the refrigerator. I said, like, man, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then, and made me realize, like, from that point on, I had to scale back and I had to, be that dad for them. Even though if I'm going to be there for 10 minutes of their day, it is going to be those 10 quality minutes. And I understand for everyone that is out there, we only have our kids once. And we have one shot of creating a human being that is going to be part of this society, that is going to help and be a good part of our society. Not because they're going to be millionaires or whatever, but they are because in their heart that we've instilled in them the hard work, the understanding of what it means to care for people, to love people for who they are, and then to be proud of who they are and have some type of whatever they believe in. And yes, I do believe in God. And yes, I try to teach my kids every single day who God is. And then, honestly, if we look at our world and our society nowadays, it is. As parents, we need to take a step back. Is it all about me because I want to look buff, I want to work out?
Yeah.
Or honestly, man, do I need to spend time with my kids for the 2 hours of working out or whatever I need to do, and just be there with them?
Yeah.
Because those 2 hours is going to be 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. Because next thing you know, your kids are going to be in college. Your kids are going to be in high school. And did I do my best? Did I instill what I need to instill in them to be a good person?
Yeah.
A good human being that is understanding, that is loving, that is caring, that is hardworking, that is not ashamed of who they are. And honestly, be proud of who you are. And one of my colleagues, right? And hopefully, you'll be here.
Yeah.
His name is Jesus. He sold his soul. He sold his soul to be, think about Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Remember the Hispanic guy? Man, I forgot.
Save the Bell?
Yeah, Save the Bell.
Slater?
Remember? Slater. Think about Slater.
Yeah.
You know, he's that Hispanic guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But how he sold himself to be that
The jock.
person,
Like
the
the
jock, to be,
captain of the football team.
and you're not proud of who you are, of being who you are. And then now, he is trying to instill all of that into the kids that he teaches. You know, be proud of who you are, because he was stripped of that. And I think all of, you know, whoever, right? Man, honestly, be proud of who you are. The true person of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think, and it'll take you, and it'll ease off that monkey on your back,
Yeah.
or whatever. If you're confused or whatever, take that off. It's okay. You know, it is okay. We are, at least now, in a society where, dude, you know, we're in a society now where it is okay.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe a part of our culture or any of the other cultures out there, yeah, it's still the struggle, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting there, and you got to look at yourself, because if all those demons are eating inside of you, and then you are reverting back of, I have anxiety or whatever, or because things are eating you inside, because then I have to self-medicate myself,
Yeah.
then you become not who you are. You know, have I gone through that? Am I going through that? Yeah, man, I've gone through that.
Yeah.
I go through it every single day, you know, and it is. Does it eat me every, you know? Do I go to sleep at night? Yeah, I do, because I have God in my life, right? And, you know, I ask him to take all these things away from me, and to have all the anxieties of being a father. And you know what? I'm going to work hard, because I know I have 3 mouths to feed.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a wife that I want to take care of, because I love her. And, you know, and like what I said, I have the 3 kids that I want, and I want what's best for them. And, you know, and yeah, it is part of our society. Yeah. Do a lot of people go through a lot of things? Yes.
Yeah.
And always revert back now, like, yeah, man, I am blessed. I am truly, truly, truly blessed of what I have. You know, yesterday, you know, we were like, you know, just like a part of our icebreaker, you know, of our professional development, was that, all right, what's like a personal victory and what's a professional victory? My personal victory is that, because I'm just blessed. There's nothing I can say. Yeah, of course, I want to be that proud parent, but it's okay. I got to look at it where, man, I still need things to work on as a person, as an educator, where I am in charge of other people's kids' lives, where I want them to be the best person as they can be.
Yeah.
The best version of themselves. Dude, I'm telling you, I am blessed. My kids are blessed. If you have a home, you are eating, you have a significant other, you have a child, you are blessed. Trust me, you are blessed. Because there are kids out there, man, they are struggling.
Yeah.
And that is where, like, you know, like, oh, it's like, man, can I still do this for the next, you know, 17 years of my life? I'm going to try. I'm going to ask, you know, God to give me that energy, give me that, you know, if this is his will for me to help those kids to have a better life, to hopefully, right? Because of, we all know education is everything, right?
Yeah.
You get to understand what the world is. Yeah. You get to open different avenues, different things in your life that you've never been, you know? And man, just think about it, right? For you, whatever, where now you get to vacation, whatever. But man, I still remember my youth, my summers, and how blessed my kids are. Were like, man, every summer we went through all these things. But you know what? And I attest this to my parents, especially to my mom, where man, she grinded. She worked her tail off. Yeah, we've never went to a vacation. Even through this day, she keeps talking like, oh man, let's go to the Grand Canyon, and we still haven't gone through it. But you know what? Hopefully, by God's grace, and that we get to take them.
Yeah.
You get to spend that time with your parents, whatever, and build that memory. Build Mella's memory of like, man, these are my great grandparents. Because I still can remember my grandpa, right? I still remember just bits and pieces of my grandma, but my grandma passed away when I was 4. And just think about it, my mom lost her parents when she was young, like I think 6 or 7 years old. So she never had parents. And and my niece Gracie lost her dad at age 11.
Yeah.
And I know my sister, she worked, and and hopefully and she's still like being that super mom, and showing that she's there, and all these parents that are out there, that are doing and are trying, that were probably got hooked up into drugs because the cycle. I always talk about that cycle.
Yeah.
And I try. We need to, everyone that's out there, we need to learn how to empower our young kids. Empower them about like, man, if you choose this route, all these doors open up to you. That cycle of violence, of being in that low socioeconomic, living in these poor areas, it makes a big difference. And and having that self-confidence in them, that trying to find love because there's a void. There's that void because I've never had a father figure, or maybe my mom wasn't there, but then she's trying to be there, and I'm still trying to understand what's going on as a young child. Like that one student is, trying to figure out where there's 3 of them. He's 3, and he doesn't know who he really is. He wants to be this kid. He doesn't really want to be the middle person, and he doesn't know who they are.
I can't even imagine. That's one kid. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine how many other kids are feeling that way, where they don't know who they are. There's 3 people that he believes he could be. Mm-hmm. One that he wants to be, one that he might be, and how he feels, but then one that he has no clue who he is. And I think what you're pointing out is, there's like the home is missing. It might be missing a father, like for the majority. Mm-hmm. And I think we're seeing that problem. And we have those single moms that work so freaking hard to be both mom and dad. But then when they're both mom and dad, a lot of them can't spend time at home with the kids. No. So who do they turn to? They turn to the TV, they turn to social media, they turn to people their age. And they look at those as examples. And that's the scary part now as a parent, because you have to work hard to provide. But like you just pointed out, you have to be home to be that example of how to deal with adversity and struggle and loss and frustration. That example of when you came home after that loss of the game, and then you reacted out of nowhere on your kids. That's such a common thing, and I've experienced that as the son from a dad. And it's interesting for me to point out that you looked up to my dad as he was one of the they would say like the role models or mentors for your age group. And the time that he did spend with you, he didn't spend at home with me and my siblings. And yeah, I particularly found it as a battle to like look for an example. Like, where's my dad? He's such a good example for these young men. He was a mentor to them. But when he was a mentor to you all, he was missing at home. And every weekend, he would be serving a retreat class or taking you guys out to a fellowship or something, and visitation to another chapter of our youth ministry. And a lot of people didn't see that he was missing from home a lot. I like to acknowledge now even more that when I finally hit, the late teens to adulthood, my dad was home more for me to see and understand what you guys always honored him as. You honored him as this guy who was, for one, authentic. He was real. He gave you tough love. And all I saw as a kid was like, all right, he's the disciplinarian, man.
Yeah.
He was mean. He was whatever. And, and this is me speaking to my dad as I honor the man that he is because I am the man that I am because of him. One thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is that, my father didn't have, or he had a father growing up, but my biological grandfather was he was dealing with what we're talking about right now. Yeah. He was dealing with the king's disease of the responsibility of raising a family, the hardship of providing, but also being a good role model. And that stress overtook him. There's men, and yeah, arguably, like, this is why our society is the way it is right now. A lot of men fall to this disease of worry, of stress, to provide and to be a good example. And a lot of us can't juggle that.
Yeah.
So he resorted to being abusive to my grandmother. And my dad saw that. And then, at 17, my dad left home with my family. They abandoned my grandfather in the Philippines. They came here. And I was worried. And I looked for that. And I know that, like, I mentioned in the last podcast that we're judged by the fathers that came before us, unfortunately.
Yep.
My dad, at this later stage of my life, this last, half, the previous half of my life right now, was able to show me what it means to be a father. He explained to me that your father was the best example that he got to be a dad, to be the father of the home, to listen to your kids, to spend time, whether you're tired, whether you're frustrated, to understand that, like what you're explaining right now, that these kids are going to be people in the future, and they're going to be moving in society, and they're going to model our behavior in society. That might have been one vulnerable moment. The king's disease that's what I explained. It's like this worry, this constant worry to be the man, the Superman. And some people fall prey to it. We have vulnerable moments like that. But how do we come full circle to the man that is necessary for this family? And that's what's amazing to me is that even if, my dad wasn't around, it was never too late. When he came home, and I entrust this to God, that when he was able to stay home with us and to be that example for us, it influenced me enough to know the type of father that I want to be, and the type of father that you are. If I want to be honest, Uncle Tom, the first time I went to Chicago to visit your family, it was for Garen's christening.
Yes.
2012.
Yeah.
And at that point, I just graduated my nursing school, and Gracie, as a gift, bought me a ticket to go with her to Chicago because she was a godmother.
Yes.
when I saw you operating as the dad that you were back then, it taught me and it inspired me to do everything that I'm doing now. I looked at you as the guy that has way too much on his plate. But no joke, when I was staying at your house, you still showed up at night and you were still 100% spending time with your family. And I realized you were working the full day job as the as a PE teacher. After work, you would do student driver, like you would do driving school. You would teach people how to drive on top of coaching. And I was like, I just finished school, so I was like, all right, I'm enjoying my vacation. To know how much you had on your plate at that time for the 3 kids, you just had your third at that point. I was like, is that what it takes to be that type of dad? And I didn't talk to Gracie back then, but I bring it up now. Like, you were one of the examples of what it takes to be a father. That you might put too much on your plate. It might be too much at some point, and you might snap or whatever. But you always pull it back to know, I can't do that. And I think this speaks to a lot of fathers out there who are doing too much, who worry about their spouse as the mother of their children. You worry about your children. You worry about your work that you provide. And a lot of men are judged by what they do in life. It's not who you are anymore. Yeah, it's how much work you can put forth. Yep. You were one of the examples that I was like, all right, it's possible, dude. You can do 3 things. You could do 3 jobs and still be home for dinner and have a good conversation with your kids. And I don't think I ever got to tell you that. This is back in 2012. And me and Gracie were obviously, together. We were dating, but, we got married in 2018. And that's the next 6 years from that point, that I saw that, and you took me out. I don't know if you remember. You took me out to a bar. And it was just me and you. Yeah. I think you were vetting me to see if I was worthy enough for Gracie. No. You got me drunk as heck that night. But I remember coming home, to crash in your basement, thinking like, how does this guy have that much energy? How does he juggle this many things and still be home having fun with his family? And I went on a journey to find and discover that. And before, me and Gracie got married, there was a couple of years where I was just full force. And that was one of the things that I pulled from. It was an example that I pulled from, like, nah, this is what a man does for his family. I'm not worthy because of just being me. I need to earn the honor of taking on a future with this woman and starting a family with them. I had to prove myself. And I think a lot of people in this age, like what you pointed out earlier, is like they think that they just earn that right, that I am who I am and I deserve this and I deserve that and you should just love me. To be honest with you, it's not just developing that thick skin, but it's also putting the work day in and day out, whether people know it or not. And you might inspire someone that could be potentially your nephew. And you inspired me that much in the past. And this is above all things that, I always grew up knowing that you were my uncle's best friends. And, I always look up to you guys. But that was one of the singular moments where I was like, all right, this is the type of dad I want to be. And whatever it is, at that point, I didn't know that our future was going to be me and Gracie and we were going to have a Mela. But I knew whatever I wanted to shape whatever I was going to shape, I wanted to be that type of dad. And, it is still that. And I still look to those examples. And I know nowadays in society, the patriarch is a bad term for some reason. It's like the toxic masculinity mentality. A lot of people don't realize like the toxic masculinity that you do see, the overly aggressive, strong person that reacts and beats up people, that is not the patriarch. Yeah. The patriarch is what we're talking about right now. The sincere, heartfelt, hardworking, quiet, understanding, empathetic man. That no matter what, you're harder on yourself than anybody else could be. And I think one thing that you just said that my dad always said was, if you are not better than me, then I failed as a father. I look at Amela and whatever children I have in the future. If we don't make them better than us, why were we even their father?
Yeah.
That's our responsibility in life. Now, it takes a lot to provide, but also to be home, to show a good example, to allow them to see that example, to be better than us. It takes so much. And that's what I call the king's disease. To build and to manage this beautiful, heavy kingdom, it takes so much out of you that no one even knows. And I think this speaks to all the fathers out there. And that's why this King's Disease series is something worth it. Is that I want to bring back that family, because you're pointing it out. Like, you work with kids that are missing something. They're missing. Yes, the single mom can provide that. They can be. It's possible. It's happened. I know a lot of people that grew up with single moms, but they might be doing so much that they are missing that element of being present, of being that tough love for that kid. Honestly, the way society is right now, I don't want to just say like it's a blanket statement like, oh, they're weak. They're missing something.
Yeah.
And I honestly want to start, maybe, not me, but there might be a wave of reinstalling that nuclear family. I think we've always talked about on the golf course that, I understand everyone has different faith and everything, but one of the messages in Fatima was the last battle on earth for humanity, the last battle for the lives of man, is the battle for the family.
Yeah. And honestly, then
that scares me, dude.
Yeah, because honestly, you look at it, it is now, right?
Yeah.
Like all the examples I've given you, it is. And I think that that's the challenge, right?
That's scary. Yeah.
So, man, like one thing that I remember, like what your grandma taught us, just having that balance, right?
Yeah.
Balance. Remember that. Balance of, all right, here's my work. Here's my extracurricular stuff. Like whatever extra side job, whatever you're going to do, can I handle it? But before you even do that, you got to ask, right? Ask if you're married. You got to ask that's your significant other. Mm-hmm. Will it be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. When you juggle everything is, man, can you do it? Can you be that coworker, that husband, that father, that brother, that son?
All the different hats.
Yes. Everything, and including whatever you do, you got to learn how to put all those different hats. And remember, the most important thing is that home life.
Yeah.
If that home life is okay, and everyone in that home is okay what you're doing, and that you're giving every single person in your life that you love that quality time, then guess what? Then do it. Because that, you know what? That's motherfucking hard work. Yeah. That's hard work. That's what multitasking is all about. And I think a lot of us have lost that because we are afraid to go to do that. We are afraid. And then if you're afraid, then you know what? Be the societal norm.
Yeah.
Be that afraid. But if you have everything, you have everything. I mean, everything. That means you have your family, you love your wife, you love your kids, you love what you do, and you know that you're giving something out, and especially that when times are going to get tough, do I know who I'm going to talk to about it? Do I have people that I can trust, that I can talk to, that I can talk about this specific thing? And then do it.
If you don't mind, who are those people for you?
Well, my number one is my dad, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, the other things are work. Find your work partner.
Yeah.
Find that colleague that both of you have the same things in common. Same. You're willing to listen to them and they're willing to listen to you. And then that you will never break that trust by talking like, oh man, this guy told me and tell people.
Spread their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You take that to the heart. And that's what I learned from my dad. That's what I learned from Grandpa Jack.
Wow.
If someone's going to talk to you, never ever say anything to anyone.
You honor that.
I honor that.
Yeah.
That's right. And like think about it as being married. It is trust that you're going to trust. Your wife trusts you and you trust your wife that it's going to be you.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah.
Till death do us part. Because if you got married and they're like, oh, well, let's have a divorce, then guess what? You, as a man, never made it a point, all right, I got to learn how to meet you halfway. Don't let your pride ever get to you. Learn how to swallow that pride, right? Learn. You got to learn.
Make adjustments.
Yeah. Because guess what? If you swallow that pride, is it going to make you less of a man? No. It's going to make you a better man because you know what? Yeah. I did that for, for my relationship, my saneness, whatever. And I communicate it with my loved one, my significant other. Because if you're going to let your pride take over and you're going to let whatever little thing's going to separate you because, oh, no, I believe in this, whatever. No, because guess what? Whatever kids you have, those are the kids that are going to be affected.
It's true.
You want those kids to be drug addicts and whatever. And
the broken home.
Yes, the broken home.
Yeah.
And then like what you were saying, right? And I give your dad a lot of parents that juggled so many things. But then as a son, you need to learn how to reflect why your parent did that. Why? You need to learn. That makes you a better man. Because if you're gonna no, because they were never there for me. No, learn.
Yeah.
Because guess what? What if you're not there for your kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna rebuttal? Oh, because dad wants to do this. And I never had time for me. You gotta take a step back, lower your pride down, and see the big picture. Yeah. What can I learn from it? Because every single day of our life is a learning moment.
Yeah.
It's going to make you, myself, you, everyone else, whatever it is, even a student calling you out, Mr. D, why you're always pissed off? Why not funny anymore? Then you need to take a step back and realize, man, what's going on in my life? Let me hit that reset button. All right.
Reevaluate.
Yeah,
where I'm at.
All right, where I'm at. This is too much. What's going on? All right, and then that's just it. And you know what? Being a father, yeah, man, you got to put all those different hats on. And then it's going to make you a better person, a better man, a better father. Yeah. Because you know what? I can put all these hats on. I can make it work.
Yeah. And I'm still going to fucking show up.
Yeah.
For my kids.
Yes. Everything.
For my wife. For my work. I'm going to show up.
Did I make a mistake? Yes. Did that one mistake of yelling at Nelly made me realize, oh, hell yeah. I need to step back and then own it as a man. and apologize to your 5-year-old kid that I fucked up.
Swallow your pride.
Yeah. All right, let me, what can I do? Don't buy him shit. Well, buy him stuff. But then honestly, you need to hold you need to hold your kid. You need to embrace him, and you need to tell him that I love you.
Before anything else.
Before anything else. And you need to tell him, I am sorry.
Yeah.
I am sorry.
Yeah.
I love you. I am sorry. And then just hold them as tight as you can so that they can feel that love generate through your body, and you're giving it all, that they feel that love from your body, that all your energy is going through them, is going through your body to them, that I love you, I messed up, I'm so sorry. Because saying I'm sorry and then trying to whatever, no. Kids know it, and they'll call your bullshit.
Yeah.
They'll call your bluff. And then honestly, that's where you're tough, where your kids start rebelling on you, that's where it happens.
They won't even acknowledge your tough love.
Because they know. Well, kids know.
Because they did, now at that point, they lost some respect for you.
Yep. Because okay, you're just going to pay me this. All right. Then guess what? All right, I'm just going to, all right, I'll act this. And then all right, hey, can you buy me this? Okay. That's it. Oh, man. Remember, we are the first teachers. We teach our kids everything. Everything. Whatever you want to teach your kids, you are the first teacher. And never, ever, 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 ever be ashamed of who you are.
Yeah.
Never. You got to teach them. If you want to teach them about your faith, teach them about your faith.
And you better fucking live it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do it. Funny thing is, right? My kids call me out, when I was living in Chicago, I just to take the edge off, I would grab a drink. I never hurt, right? Maybe all year I never hurt you, whatever. But the kids always see.
They watch.
They
see everything.
They see you. It's beautiful. I love my daughter. She is my queen, my princess. I remember she was young when she was, she knew. I was like, hey, Tal, can you grab me a beer? She knew, Dad, the mountain ones? Yeah. She knows. So it was Cruise Life, right?
Yeah.
She knew it. She'll grab. But it was funny thing is, she didn't grab one. She'll grab me two. Because she knew it's going to be done. Boom. Whatever, right? And that's how funny she is. And that show, she captured my heart. She captured my heart. And then even now. And then this is how, your other kids come in.
Yeah.
I remember, just moving in. Remember, we just moved in. I moved here 2019. Yeah. And then, I took my whole family away from their home for their whole life.
Yeah.
And moved them here. And I know it's the journey that my parents did. And when I was young, I was still 8 years old. So to me, it was like, oh man, this is awesome, right? But I never knew how my older brothers or my older siblings felt, And then moving, I always talked to my brother John because, he was the oldest and he was 17, 18 years old when he came here. And I was the same age as Andrew. Mm. But anyways, I was having a drink and Nellie calls me out, Dad, you drink all the time. And then Andrew goes, no, he doesn't. And then, she's trying to make fun. And I know it's out of her love because she loves me a lot. And she knows she doesn't want anything to happen to me. She goes, Dad, you're drinking,
Mm-hmm.
And here's Andrew, you're like, no, he's not, but there it is. Your kids see whatever you do.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge for all of us. That's the challenge for all of us dads. Think about it. You need to learn how to reflect. You need to learn how to look back at your whole life. All right, where I'm at now, where I was at before, where I'm at now, and what is the future going to hold? Are you going to, yeah, I know we all have, trust me, we all have our dreams, our aspirations. I had it, but there's other bigger things than that, than making money. Because money doesn't solve everything. Your time with your wife, your time with your kids are more valuable than taking them to any exotic place in this world. Anything. That 5 minutes with them every single night. Every single night. And I remember that night when I yelled at Natalie. I was crying. My wife comes home. And I confessed to her. I was crying. Because I was feeling like shit. Like, what am I doing? And seeing my son being that older brother, I love it. Thank you, Andrew, for being that protecting, and took my daughter and made sure that he's going to protect her, no matter what. And I just sat there and I reflected, and I just, and I poured it out to my wife, and I communicated with her. What I did. And that resonated with me till now. Just please, I know I'm letting you do whatever you're passionate about. But please, at least give 10 minutes of quality time with your kids. Can you please give them that? I understand that you're trying to provide for our family, being the king of our family. But money doesn't buy happiness. Fathers who are out there, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. I've lived it. I've been there. I see it every day with the kids that I teach. And I know we can keep going on, but honestly, fathers who are out there, let's do that. That's our goal.
That's our calling in life.
Yeah. Let's spend quality time and learn how to balance your life with everything that you do. For instance, I know my wife gave me that, that opportunity to fulfill my passion of coaching. But then we made it a point. And I made it a point as a husband that at least once a month, right? Once a month, that it was our date night. And I provided everything. I made sure that I got, everything covered. Mm-hmm. And then I just told my wife, hey, this day, it's our date night. Everything's covered. Don't worry about it. Just look pretty. Let's have some fun. Spend quality time with you. And just, learn and keep continuing to love your wife, to make it romantic, to to, like, I don't know, in the Filipino court that person. I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean?
But to be there for your queen.
Yeah.
Because she has her own responsibilities.
Yes, it is. Because then if you two are good, then that life, that home life that you're providing for your kids is good.
Yeah.
It is good. Not good, but honestly, it is great. It is great. Like what I said, don't ever, ever, ever be embarrassed of who you are culturally, number one. Then if you've whatever you believe in, whatever you believe in, teach that to your kids. Teach it. Why? Remember that, right? Why? Why do we go do this? Why do we do that? And then ask yourself why. Ask yourself so that you can further explain it.
Yeah.
Go deeper. Never ever scratch the surface.
Yeah.
You are, as a father and as a teacher, you need to be a scuba diver. You are not a water skier. You are a scuba diver. You are going to teach them, and then that's how your kids, hopefully my kids, are learning, using this, their minds, their heart. How can I go deeper? How can I reflect? Rather than being hurt all the time because my parents were never there. Teach them to go deeper.